Hello, Saga X here. Today we're going over the Berserker Mastery Tree in Chrono Odyssey. After finishing the tutorial, we're going to open up the masteries here and just go through them all. First up is Sweeping Slash. Pretty good. It has a heal, which is really strong. I feel like having heals in this game on an ability are really how you should play, because your potions are limited to longer cooldowns, like 60 seconds-ish. Super armor again, so you don't get staggered or knocked down. Very important. So going something down here, down this tree, would be really good. And then Bloodthirst grants an additional stack again. This is the Bloodthirst that is the heal over time. So that can make this ability proc more often. Change Strike pulls enemy. This would probably be good in PvP. Maybe pull some mobs to the center AoE pack. Reduces rage cost. Okay. So the way these trees work too is you have to spend a certain amount of points before you can get each. So then here we have Fighting Spirit, which also grants Bloodthirst. Good. Bloodthirst being a really, really strong buff on this character, it looks like you can get 2.5% HP over 12 seconds and 10% attack, and it just buffs that. Stamina upon using Fighting Spirit, which is good. Stamina determines you being able to roll and everything like that. That'll be pretty solid there. Gaining more Bloodthirst and removing crowd control. That's really good. I wonder if that can like get rid of knockdowns and stuff. I'm probably not gonna make it to this level for this character. So we will have to wait until the next beta to try that. Change Strike launches the enemy into the air. Well, so here we have Change Strike, which pulls you, then reduces the cost, and then it launches the enemy into the air and inflicts knockdown. So that's really good. So that's like pull them up and then throw them down, I guess. That's really nice. Glacial Strike, execute a downward strike and dashes into the landing location. Really nice. Then we move down to buff that, increasing the AoE. So it definitely seems like this tree is basically get your Bloodthirst stacks here. It would probably be something good to go down the Bloodthirst, and then depending on if you are doing like a boss, if you're doing a boss, I'd probably use something like Sweeping Slash just to keep up your Bloodthirst and Fighting Spirit, and then I'd move. Keep Change Strike and Glacial Strike. These look like more like AoE abilities here. Yeah, grants an additional usage. Seems like AoE. So this is the Bloodthirst again, and we can level this up by putting points into it. Sounds good here. 20 crit when reaches max stacks. So here, max stacks is 5. So 20% crit damage. That's pretty big here. And then this is going to make... So every 15 basic attacks, we get a Bloodthirst. That's nice. Grants Bloodthirst upon switching to Chain Blades. See, the game, every class has one of these, where it basically, and every weapon usually has one of these, where it gives you some sort of buff to encourage weapon swapping. Again, you don't have to do it, but it's going to be better if you do. Surging Force. So what is Surging Force? Increases rage upon using Surging Force. Okay, Seething Blood. I don't know what Surging Force is. Oh, Surging Force is the right thing. So again, this regenerates rage. Rage, which is a ability spender for this class. So you need to generate it by using auto attacks and other abilities such as this. And then you get Surging Force. You use Surging Force by right click, which costs 40 stamina. You change 40 stamina back into 40 rage, recovers 5% HP, and then it consumes Bloodthirst stacks. So this could theoretically be a 40% heal. I wonder if this is percent of max HP here or percent of HP, but either way, this could be a 40% heal, right? Or 5% max HP plus 35 additional percent of that 5%, you know? So either way, you're looking at minimum like 7% heal every 25 seconds, which seems pretty strong. So going something like Bloodthirst with Ruthless would be really good. Scrapper, so this game definitely you're going to be auto attacking, so don't underestimate these style of talents, which are just buffing your auto attacks. I know that I've hit level 35, and I definitely had this in my max damage build. Not necessarily my AoE build, but in my max damage, like single target damage for bossing, I had that. If we look down here, yeah, 10% HP will using Surging Force, so that just makes this even better. So this is going to be just like a huge heal there for you. Attacking an enemy affected by chills deals 20% damage. So theoretically, you could use something like Glacial Strike on a single target and use this to buff it to increase additional damage, and then generate rage. So this would be more of a AoE mobbing ability that you'd want, or if you were finishing off targets very quickly. Moving on to the third tree here, we have Chilling Strike. Again, maybe if you went just like an ice build, you could do these. Leap Attack, dealing 100.3% damage, inflicts stun. Okay, it's stun and chill. Chilling Strike 2 consumes all stacks of Bloodthirst. I mean, personally, I don't like that because I like having my Bloodthirst for my heal there. An Icy Explosion at the point of impact. This seems really good. So maybe you'd use this in your AoE build, and then you'd go these three, and then you maybe wouldn't even take that. I don't know. I just feel like you definitely want some sort of healing on all these classes. So it'd be hard for me to want to get rid of my Bloodthirst stacks using something like this, even if it was a really good ability. Executes an upward slash, dealing 113% damage and inflicting chill. Reduces movement speed by 4% for 24 seconds. This seems interesting. Again, seems like chain blades are very full damage oriented. I really like this. Seems very different than normal. The weapons look sick, right? And the whole mechanic's sick. I mean, who doesn't like some good twin blades or chain blade action here? Okay, so we get rage, but it doesn't say consume here, so that's pretty strong. That's the cooldown of soaring blades upon killing an enemy with chain blades. Okay, that seems pretty good. Cleave, so you're gonna have to take this. Now, whether you use this or not is a different thing. Like, you can select 4 skills from each weapon, so one-handed slash. Okay, so first attack gains Bloodthirst. Nice, that's pretty strong. So one thing to note is the cost of these abilities. Most of them are like, so this is actually HP cost. So you're gonna need that Bloodthirst to offset that HP cost, right? So then this makes this cost HP, right? And then this freezes it again, healing freeze, and then Chain Cleave 3, reduce the rage cost. Seems pretty good. It seems like you could definitely make a pretty solid single target build by doing these two, and then I would probably even go with the glacial ability even on this. You do these two, go glacial, and then go these two, you know, so you have some solid heal from fighting spirit and sweeping slash, making sure to pick up the passives here. But Chainblade seems pretty strong. As you saw in the opening, it is definitely a very flashy weapon. We'll move to the weapon that we haven't seen here. We'll just go over this quickly. Slaughter executes a devastating strike, dealing. Okay, so this class's special move is Berserk right here. Consumes stamina upon entering a frenzy state. While Berserk is active, increases the damage by 20%, movement speed by 20%, while draining HP per second. Oof. I don't like that, but I mean, you know, for the increase of damage, say you need to finish off an enemy or something, that could be very nice. So Berserk augments this ability, makes it, okay, slaughters a knockback, and then increases it. So this definitely seems like more of a single target weapon so far. Okay, this goes ranged here. Get range throwing axes. Okay, I like that. I like that. Range is always good. Okay, movement speed. Get movement speed, range, and then this one has range throwing. That's nice. So again, this is a heal. Everyone loves healing. But this seems to pair really well with twin axes. After playing the great axe, I think that this is a little bit better. Grants immortal for 10. Okay, this is just everyone loves this. If you're a New World enjoyer, you definitely used the axe here to get a little bit of immortality. This is a must-have for PvP and even PvE in some cases. This reduces the cooldown of this because this is kind of long. It's 2.5 minutes there, and then recovers 20% of HP. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. If you are playing twin axes, you definitely have to go down this path. Additional attacks, so maybe if you stack HP in this class and then you can just remain low HP, that'd be really nice. I mean, a lot of your abilities, as we saw from the chain blades, require HP. Okay, inflicts bleed upon landing a critical hit. So this in conjunction with the chain blades crit damage, and you rock a lot of crit, would be really good in this. Upon switching to twin axis, generate 40 range. You have to go something like this, especially if you're using the two weapons. I know, like, some people, myself included, tend to favor one weapon or the other, but if you make use of the mechanic, make use of these special moves, you're going to be a lot stronger. While Berserk is active, basic attacks trigger a dash attack towards enemy, generates 2 rage per second. While Berserk is active, this is going to be really strong because, again, rage is generated through auto attacks, and then you need to use that rage in order to trigger a lot of your attacks. Not all, some of them have different mechanics and are generators and spenders. So there is that. Increase the HP consumption of Berserk to 2% while increasing. Oh, this is really crazy, actually. So you hit your right mouse button, you enter in Berserk. Your Berserk is doing 2% of your HP per second. Ooh. And so you just need to really pump out that damage. And it lowers. This is going to lower your HP really quick. So this is definitely going to trigger, as well as if you have this enduring. So this can trigger once every 5 seconds, which makes this not as bad. So if you are going this, like, definitely filling out this whole tree would be really good. Now moving on to the third tree for twin axes, we have Clobber. Seems pretty nice. It's just a bleed, powerful swing. And then, oh, wait. Sex of bleed reduces defense by 10%. So this definitely seems like a bossing thing. This is like it helps you inflict bleed as well as reduce their defense. Seems pretty strong. Okay, 20% HP. Well, so your HP is going to be just going up and down with this class nonstop. Just damage Clobber. Clobber seems like overall really strong. Not a lot of AoE in this in these ones, so I would stick to probably the battle axe or the chain blades if you were going for AoE grinding and whatnot. Increase damage of cleave. That seems pretty solid. Grants an additional use of cleave that does not cost rage. All right, so yeah, this is really, really nice. Again, defense reduction is in any game is going to be super strong, similar to Sunder and WoW, and various other abilities in different games. Like, you definitely want to get that defense down out there, so that way you can do more damage to bosses or whatever you're attacking. Dashes forward, dealing a headbutt that inflicts knockback. It reduces the enemy attack again. Like, debuffs are good, but like, that's such a short debuff, 5 seconds. Maybe this goes up a little bit if you put points into it. Generates rage. I think this is probably the weakest ability in this whole tree, but I mean, we still do have one left. Reduces cooldown a headbutt for 1. It's okay. I mean, yeah, it's headbutt, generating rage. I probably wouldn't use this unless you had to. Delivers relentless swing, delivers 3 Deadly attacks. Okay. Oh, okay. This plays off of the Berserk being active. Very 3 attacks landed on targets affected by bleed. Okay, this is good. So then this turns your attacks into stuns. They're bleeding. Okay, and then ignores enemy defense. So twin axe is pretty strong. More single target while the chain blades is more AoE. And then we're gonna look at the third one. Last and finally, we're gonna be looking at the battle axe. We got whirlwind. Okay. Consumes rage, spins, allows movement during activation, but the movement speed is reduced. This is great. This give me D2 vibes, man. Let me get that whirlwind barbarian up in here. Reduce the initial cost of whirlwind because it does start with 20 rage cost, and then each spin consumes 2. So this is a high rage ability, but then this would reduce the additional whirlwind cost down to probably 10 if you put 2 points into it. Is with this with 1 point. Oh, you can only put 1 point in it. With 1 point, it reduces it down to 15. It looks like. And then whirlwind inflicts bleeding while hit, and we saw what bleeding does. Reduces damage or reduces defense and increases damage. Pretty strong there. Thunderstrike dealing. Yeah, no. This is knockback, generating rage. This is another generating ability. We really like those, especially in a class that uses this. So this doesn't have Zerk. So Zerk is a twin axe only ability. This is going to be more of a I need to block, I swap to this. So maybe if you're bossing using this in conjunction with battle axe and blocking and going back and forth between the two is going to be really strong in single target situations. Reduces the cooldown for 1 sec for each attack landed by the enemies. Okay, so seems pretty solid. Well, let me read the first one again. For blocking an attack, again with a right click, counter attack. Well, I like that. I like this is still inactive, so you're gonna have to block and then activate it. I'm not exactly sure how the interaction works. I just made this class for the first time. We're just going over the skills here. Reduces the cooldown. This seems like a really good bossing skill for blocking and whatnot. And then Raging Axe strikes down the enemy. Okay. So enemies are gonna have like bosses and stuff will have stagger bars. I wonder how that works with the knockdown mechanics and stuff like that. I'm assuming they won't hit, but will increase the damage done to the stagger bar. Generates 5 rage, another generation, and we love our rage on this class, especially when we can spend it on Berserk or the heal we have from Surging Force here. So again, I think Battle Axe is going to be your go-to for either of these. Maybe if you're like Glass Cannon specking it out, you go Twin Axes, Chain Blades, but using all 3 in different situations seems very strong. Increases the damage of this. That seems good. I do like this. Performs an upward strike, unyielding strike. Performs an upward strike, dealing 600 or 161.6 damage. Inflicting 9 down. Super armor. Super armor, super important, especially when trying to evade skills and not get knocked down yourself. Okay, increases attack radius. Unyielding strike can be charged up to 2 levels, increasing its attack radius. I mean, this definitely seems very good, especially with whirlwind. Damage increases with the number of whirlwind stacks, right? So using this after a whirlwind seems really, really strong. Whirlwind increases attack by 7. Yeah. Like going unyielding with whirlwind is a no-brainer. And then I would personally probably throw in Thunderstrike for the rage generation as well as the HP recovery. Probably stay away from Raging Axe at least for some of the time. I mean, like, in all honesty, you can make a really good spec by just going all 4 of these. So now we're going to look at the passive tree. Super Armor. This is a no-brainer, right? You definitely take this. This would be your probably first or second point. Get that Super Armor out. So that way, and it's a cooldown of 1 second, so that way you don't get knocked down. Gain HP. This, again, super important. We all love our shields. Okay, upon using a skill reduces incoming damage. So again, you're you're just decreasing damage taken, and then you can pop over to one of the other skills and check and use those. On switching in battle axe taunts. Okay, so this turns you into like a Zerg tank, where you're going to be taking a lot of damage, but you're going to be doing a lot of damage, and then this reduces them around you. I don't know if I use this. It would depend on your party composition. You could become like an off tank or something with this, but this does seem very good. I personally probably wouldn't pick it up, at least not initially. This would be more of a if the situation calls for it, or where you could be a tank in a pinch. Like to bleed upon blocking an attack. That's pretty strong. On blocking an attack. Okay. Okay, so these are just make sure you block, and if you block, you get a ton of buffs. I like that. This is good. Again, if you're running something like this, you're probably gonna want to go something that has like a lot of like bleed going on. So I'd probably go with the twin blades, so that way you can get those bleeds going out there, right? These have a lot of bleeds from clobber, and some of the other things down here, as well as the immortality and stuff, aren't too bad with this skill set. So but I think that this is pretty solid. I don't think that a lot of these are generating bleed here, but this isn't as strong as you'd think it is. Only 10%. Okay, 10 recovering stamina, always good. Can't really go wrong when you're that deep down in the tree. All right, so blood veil. Okay, shield. We saw this. This was the red bubble in the initial cutscene. Generates rage. Okay, explosion. So this is a no-brainer. You're definitely gonna want that on any of these builds for this weapon. Inflicts bleed there. Okay, so then that goes back to this. So like maybe combining this with sever, granting another shield. So if you're going more of a tank one with your battle axe, you're gonna want to maintain on this right hand tree here. I think this will be pretty good. Reduces the charge time by half and inflicts 2 sides of bleed. Again, bleed great with this, especially with this talent going out and the shields. Throws an axe taunting an enemy. Again with the taunting. Again, I probably would only use this if this situation calls for it, which would be if you are lacking a tank or you need an off tank. Spinning attack, gain super armor. Okay, so again, a lot of this plays off of generating rage in this one for spinning cleave and gaining super armor. Seems like a pretty strong set of skills, and now we've went over all the skills. And with that, I'm Cygax. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay salty.